You're going live. You are now live.
You have to let me know when I'm on camera because I can't tell when I'm on camera. Only you can. I have to trust you.
You are now on camera.
Craziness going on here tonight in the VIP room at the Weldon House in Troy, New York. Uh, Google doesn't like it. Google does not like it. Um, wouldn't let me start the broadcast. Wouldn't let me do the Google Hangout. It's Shane is controlling this. My buddy partner crime here, Dutch, every night here with us. For how many nights in a row is this now? 33 nights?
300. Holy Jesus.
Like 33 nights in a row we've been doing this. It's the 33rd night. And we almost didn't have it. We're 15 minutes behind schedule. Just for some reason, it would not, at the last minute, let me launch a Google Hangout on air.
Dynamic duo was definitely challenged this day.
And we did Shane's Risen Strength earlier, and there was some stuff with that.
Wait a minute, there was stuff with that?
So at this point, and I can't even see what's being broadcast, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm trusting that what's being broadcast is what should be being broadcast. Shane's producing, and I'm completely blind here. So you guys could be looking at anything for all I know. We'll see. Well, how it goes. So that's Thursday night. So Thursday night for 33 nights, we said, yeah. It's January 29th. It's 2015.
Hey,
Google
challenges that helped you.
And the exciting, the next challenge I'll have, though, is tomorrow morning. I have to ride the bus and have a new bus pass. I get a bus pass every month, and the new month starts tomorrow. But as mentioned a couple days ago, I put my wallet through the laundry, and my new bus pass was in there, and it's got a little magnetic strip on the back. It's a paper pass with a magnetic strip, and the first time you run it, it prints it out, activates it basically. So let's see how that goes tomorrow morning. So that's my big exciting news for tomorrow. But we did the bowling thing tonight, so that was fun. It was good. I mean, I don't know, is fun the right word? And we pulled it off, and it was a little. I think we're gonna blame Google for everything because it's there were a couple of little Google glitches, and there's definitely it could be me. I mean,
Evil Google. Evil.
Yeah. But it'll only get better with time, and then hopefully tomorrow this will be all back to normal for me running a hangout. I don't know why it wouldn't let me do the hangout. It let me create the hangout last time. So you create this like little window environment, and then you press a broadcast button. And when I pressed the broadcast button, it was like, nope, cannot broadcast. No, cannot broadcast. Cannot broadcast. It's like, whatever it was error message was going to be. So I closed the whole thing and tried to open a new hangout window, and then at that point it wouldn't even let me open a new one. I was like, oh, now what? And then Dutch stepped up. He created one, and then we're running it through there. And maybe on your end it'll look the same. It definitely feels weird tonight. But we'll see how that goes. It's got almost been like a theme the last week is science reporting. You talk about factcheck.org is going to have their new SciCheck, where they'll have when politicians speak up and talk about science related news stories as they relate to policy and elections and opponents, then SciCheck is going to step up and do some fact checking. Is this person just using rhetoric to further an agenda, or is there actually something to what they're saying? So that's the pants on fire lying all the way up to 100% truthful or whatever scale they use. But also just all of us, we see these science headlines, and we're misled by them. But another place where you can get really misled by science headlines, this is another place that's kind of interesting, is when scientists write proposals. They'll write up an abstract, a short couple of paragraphs, couple of pages outlining what they plan to do. A lot of times when they do that, they'll give their studies kind of quirky names. And they do that because, one, there's money at stake here. You're trying to apply for money, and you're trying to get already I could tell. I'm looking at that thing. I'm completely discombobulated. This should have been the start page, right? This is kind of normally where we start, where we see this. And it wasn't even there, and Dutch wasn't saying anything. He was just letting it go.
What do you want to know?
You didn't notice the difference between the start page?
The start date?
The page. What are you looking at on the screen? I don't know. But you look at yourself.
Random thoughts with random access.
It wasn't. That's not what was there though.
That's what I got.
No, that's what you do now because I just changed it. You had this. This is what we were looking at. Yeah, because I just moved it just now. Just now I moved it.
Okay, I'm awake now.
Uh,
I see the title. It says Random Thoughts with Random Access.
yeah, now you do because I just put it there just now.
Action!
But yeah, these. But what will happen is these scientists and things will they'll write up.
He looks how I feel.
Yeah, James Randi. Well, he's in his 80s. James Randi has his the James Randi Educational Foundation, the JREF. James Randi, fabulous magician from he was the next Houdini kind of thing. Well, he's 86 now. So when he was in his 20s, that was 60 years ago. So 60 years ago, and 50 years ago, he was a very popular magician, and he did a lot of escape stuff. And he had some really good ones that were where he just really kind of blew these people's minds. He would escape from jails. He'd go to kind of like Houdini would do. He'd visit these local jails, and they'd be bragging about how this is an escape-proof prison. Nobody can get out of this. And you'd be like, okay, yeah, but all right, here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna lock you in here in the cells, and we're gonna go be drinking some coffee and donuts and stuff, and then we're gonna come back and get you out in an hour when you give up. We're going to get you out. It's like, okay. There was a famous one where I can't remember where he was in the South somewhere, but they kind of leave him there, and then the group of people that they have the reporters and stuff with them. He likes to do this alone because he's a magician. He doesn't want you to see how he's getting out. And they start walking back to the coffee break area. And when they get back to the coffee break area, all of a sudden they start hearing out in the parking lot a car horn honking. Like within like a minute or two, very good. And this car horn is honking. And then they're like, what? And then go check on Randy. And then they go back and look at Randy, and he's not there. He's like, what? You go, well, he's not honking that car. That horn. Don't tell me he's honking that horn out in that car in that parking lot. Because he couldn't have gotten there that fast. I mean, if he had left 5 minutes before we left, he could have gotten to the parking lot and been doing that. They all go out, and then they take the reporter. They get out there, they get to the report, and there he is sitting in the car, and he's honking the horn. Honk, honk, honk.
We could have used him today.
So and what he did is he actually had an accomplice, of course. One, he figured out how he was going to get out here. He knew how to get out quickly, not that quickly to where he could go back in time, but he knew that it was only going to take him a minute to get out of there, and then a minute maybe to get out to the car, a couple of minutes to get out of the car. So what he did is they had it timed where the person he had an accomplice sitting out there start honking the horn. At this point, he's still escaping.
He caught up.
He caught up. He runs out there. That person jumps and hides in the trunk, maybe. I don't know. They keep the honking going, and then he gets there, and then by the time they come out there, because he knew they were going to come back and check, and then so we had a couple of minutes, and then they come out, and then he's just sitting there honking the horn. And they're like, how did you could not have done this? But the thing was, he also got out, much quicker. They didn't think he was going to get out at all, but he was out like almost instantly. And in the story, he actually he goes off in great detail. I don't know where he wrote it. Something's written up, or he actually explains how he got out too. It's not, but he's able to, whatever. I don't remember the details how he got out, but he wasn't afraid to, all these years later, reveal how he got out. But anyway, James Randi he's an amazing magician, but he also turned a lot of his life, starting from in the 80s, the 70s. I've talked about them before, actually, but exposing these fraudsters, people who pretend that they have magic powers, pretend that they're psychic, pretend that they have mental powers, that they can bend keys. In his mind, it's one thing to kind of do it as a performance, and as a shtick, you kind of say, oh, I could do this, but at the end of the day, you don't do that. I mean, you're bending it with your hands when they're not looking. Is what it boils down to. You did it beforehand, or you did it when they were looking the other way. But it's never, or maybe it's made of a sometimes the gallium. I think is one of these metals they like to use. That it if you put your fingers on it, it gets warm enough, it starts bending. Because it has a very low melting point, at about 90 degrees or something. So that at room temperature it feels kind of solid, but then just a couple of degrees warmer, now it's liquid. So you can do little tricks like that. So there's lots of ways to do these tricks. So he exposed these people. He famously exposed Peter Popoff, who was a televangelist who would cure people. There's somebody out here with cancer you live at, and he knows and he's got a radio in his ear, and his wife is, from cards that people have filled out, reading the cards to, and they have all this stuff on tape. Or Randy was able to get a private eye to get a scanner, and they tune in, and they. Popoff is still doing this today. He was quiet for a long time, but now he's come back. He found God again, but this time it's real. Stuff makes no sense, but these people make millions of dollars doing this. Uri Geller was another one. He did it. Anyway, so Randy does these kind of things. But he has this great article here, and of course it's a terrible web page because it should rescale the web page when I rescale my page, but it doesn't. But it's how your tax dollars are spent on research grants, and then moving the page over. Oh, see, now my computer is conspiring against me to hide.
It's just you.
It's hiding the little scroll bar. The scroll bar is under here. I can see it, but this taskbar is sitting here, and it's not going away. Why is the taskbar not going away? Normally it goes away.
But it's not going away.
It's not going away. I don't know why it's not going away. And because of that, I can't get to the scroll bar. Anyway, it says how your tax dollars are spent on research grants. Yeah, but it's off to the side.
No, I was trying to do it in my own.
Oh yeah. That's not a touch screen, though. But how your tax dollars are spent on tax grants, and then then it's like people who hate science make it look like waste. So it's how your tax dollars are spent on grants, and then how the titles are made look like waste. And what happens when you write these grants, the scientists who write them, they try to be a little cute sometimes because they're trying to get money. You're writing to a grant proposal place. These people, they review a lot of grants. It's almost like you're just trying to get some attention. So you'll put a funny title on there, but the science is real, and the money that you're going to get is real. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, $500,000, $1 million. Usually about 1/3 of the money goes to pay for salaries. But these are salaries of scientists, teams of scientists who've been working for a couple of years, half time, third time on these projects. So they need to be, it's a pretty substantial amount of money. And then graduate students have to get paid, things like that. So it does add up, but it's really dropping the bucket for a lot of things. But the titles are funny. Sometimes, and then people will take the titles who don't understand the science, and they'll say, "Look, he spent money on this." And now, who's the person that does this? Sarah Palin is. There's a recent example of her doing that, and that's kind of what's happening on here. They have it's probably at the very end of this article. This is a great little article on it here, and then now you can't see it, and I can't scroll over. I can probably scroll over with the mouse thing. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Well, like she's mentioned here, dollars go to projects that have little or nothing to do with the public good, like fruit fly research in Paris, France. We spent $500,000 on a fruit fly research in Paris, France. Well, with zero context, but fruit fly research is actually very important because we do a lot of genetic research because it's a genome that we're trying to learn to understand. And if we completely understand the fruit fly genome, then it gives us ways to now look at the human genome, which is much bigger, much more complicated. Fruit flies have a pretty simple genome compared to other animals. So you spend the money on the simple stuff first, and then you move on. And fruit flies are also, they reproduce very fast, so you go through a lot of generations, so they evolve very quickly. Evolution involves this, mutation and then selection and then heritability. So, if you go through lots of generations, then you get lots of mutations. And then certain mutations, you can track the mutations. So you can see how many generations you have to have before you have a certain number of mutations. And then that turns out that kind of number is constant, very close to constant through all species. And mutations don't care that the animals have short reproductive cycles. They just care about how many times it's being copied, and whether it's being copied every 10 seconds or every 10 years. but you can, so fruit flies, you can go through lots of generations, you can track mutations that way. So I mean, fruit flies, it's unbelievable research, great genetic research on fruit flies, but she wants to make fun of it. We got Paris, France, like that's supposed to get us, and it does. It gets people fired up, and they get really angry, or they get really upset. And but it turns out that the reasons are. There was another one. It was a case where maybe this is the $500,000 one that I was thinking of. It was a $500,000 research spent to see how gay men use Grindr or Grinder. So it's like a Tinder phone app. There's something called Grindr it's the gay version of Tinder. Okay, but you say, oh, why would we do that? Well, it turns out that there's lots of information that you can learn from doing that, and it comes down to a lot of public safety and awareness and being able to promote, safe sex and public health issues. If you know how diseases are spreading, what are people doing in their lives that's leading to diseases being spread? Like, why are they using these applications? How are they using these applications? And it does also translate from just one small segment of the population. You can translate it to other segments of the population. So but people, they freak out without really knowing kind of really the big picture kind of stuff. And Shane mentioned this before, so I'm going to blame him about how a lot of science can be slow because science is slow. Sometimes you have to ask very, very specific, narrow questions, and that's true because you have to control for so much. If you have very big, wide open questions in science, you don't have any controls, so you don't know what's important and what's not important. There's too many confounding factors. So by making studies very targeted, you can get down to very specific types of questions that you want to ask. So just be careful when you're reading science stuff, and oh, that's such an obvious result, or why would you ever study that, or there's a reason to study this stuff, and if you'd like to know, maybe you could look further. But I wouldn't just try to come up with a gut reason why things would happen. You'd study it. You might have to ask some questions that trust that there's probably a reason. And you don't have to let it go, but you can trust that there's a reason so that you can look for that reason. I mean, I'm not saying that you just trust it and be blind about it, but trust that there is a reason, and then look for that reason, and you're be curious. And that was the motto from yesterday: be curious. So when you see some headlines that get you going, especially when it comes to science, be curious, and then you'll start seeing after a while that oh yeah, this stuff actually does make a lot of sense, and it is just a drop in the bucket of what we could spend on things. So this is from Randy's organization, randy.org, and it's the James Randi Educational Foundation, and he just announced his retirement this week. He's stepping down. He's 86. He's been working hard his whole life. And retirement for him is still going to be doing a lot of things, but yeah, he's going to be easing back. And that's really all I have time to talk about tonight. Well, it's already late, and it was a kind of a crazy day today anyway. But what does that do for Twitter? See, now my Twitter's not coming up. There it is. Completely unprepared to show you the Twitter, but we have the RTWRE, that's Random Thoughts with Random Access. Go ahead and give us a tweet at us. Use the hashtag. We'll search it. We'll see it. That's the best way to actually tweet us. If you tweet at us, sometimes it can get lost in the noise there. But if you tweet it with the hashtag, not only can we see it, but other people can see it. So it's good for that. And in fact, here's a tweet from a little while. There may be no episode because Google's not cooperating. But of course, we fixed that. Dutch stepped up and did the hard work here and got us going. At this point, we also look at where our follows are. Our follower record was 960. And then it was a little bit then it went down, then it went back up to 960, then it went back down, and it was like 956. So we're going to click on this and say, oh, where are we at? 956, 956, 952.
I don't want you spoiled, Buck.
So driving people away.
Feeling the onion.
I'm going to blame the fact that last week, as I mentioned, I unfollowed about 300 people. So maybe some of them are taking it personally. Although, to my defense, some of those people I moved over to my side list. I have a list of STEM-related tweets, science-related tweets, technical tweets that I track over here. So I have my sci list. That's random access/sci, SCI. And I just moved some people over there because it's easier for me to find those tweets here than in the noise of my personal timeline. So if I follow people in my personal timeline, one, it just crowds up my personal timeline, and I may not see it. When I come over to my side list, it's a much slower moving list. It's easier for me to track down and follow some things. What's happening there? So some of those people might have been upset that I stopped following them, and so they said, "Oh, they'll teach you a lesson." Because people actually have these applications where they you get notifications of who in particular is unfollowing you.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I mean, I can see who follows me, and I can actually set a thing so that I get. In fact, I do get a notification when somebody new follows me. That I do get, but I don't get a notification when somebody unfollows me. So here's like my notifications, like somebody maybe favorites a tweet that I do, somebody follows me, or somebody adds me to a list. So I see those things. So I can see what's being retweeted, what's being favorited, what I'm being added to. But I don't see the notifications when I'm unadded or unfollowed. But there are services, or free apps, we call them services even, where people do that, and then people will they tie it back to your Twitter account. So then what ends up happening is the tweet gets sent out. It's like, I was unfollowed by 4 people today, and I know who they are. But it's not the person who's tweeting that. It's because you subscribe to the service, and then that's one of the things that service does, because what it's doing is the service is promoting itself on your timeline. And then that's the little message it sends out for you. But I see those, and I'm like, I don't want to know who's unfollowing me. I'd rather just know who's following me than who's unfollowing me. Because it could be just, I don't know, lots of reasons I don't want to think about. I don't even want to guess. All right, random thoughts. There wasn't a lot of them today. Today was just kind of a strange day with crazy Google stuff going on.
Definitely random.
And like no interaction with Dutch here. You guys got just whatever. That was today. 4.4 inaccurate titles. I don't even know what that even means exactly. But maybe that was an accurate title for today. Nobody knows. We have not been drinking.
No, but we're going to start.
No, 1,413 days. Tomorrow's 1414 for me, but it's a 1,413 days, one day at a time. That's how I do it. That's how I'm gonna keep doing it, and that's how we do this show, one day at a time. We've done it 33 times. 34 tomorrow. Good night, folks.
Night, folks.